And welcome to the Marcus and Mike Show, guys. I am Mike. My man on the other side of the line is Marcus. Marcus, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Just watching my Houston Astros get a little knocked around today with the baseball, and watching the Atlanta Braves down 2-0 already. Dallas gave up a couple of solo home runs here.
Yeah. Speaking of your Houston Astros, they are leading the series 2-0. So they only need one more game to close out that series. And do you think they'll do it at home tomorrow, or is it going to be a 5-game series?
No, well, let's see. I think they go Tampa Bay tomorrow. They're in Tampa now, so I guess Game 4 would be in Tampa, and then Game 5, the closeout, would be in Houston. I think they'll end up doing it tomorrow. That's really hard to say. Baseball is a strange game. We'll see what they do tomorrow. I don't know if they're going to bring back Verlander tomorrow for Game 4, or will it be a new pitcher, and they'll just save Verlander for Game 5 if need be? That's a good question. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But both managers are keeping this close to the vest. They don't want to tip their hand on what pitcher they might use and things like that. But we might know tonight too who the pitcher will be for Game 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think I really do think, if you are the Tampa Bay Rays, you have to come out with the best available pitcher that you have, because you are in a must-win situation, and the Houston Astros thing, and then they can kind of toy around with it and maybe save their ace for Game 5 if it does go to Game 5, but ideally they like to use him for Game 1 in the championship series. So hopefully they get things done, because I think I'm with you on this. I do think Houston Astros are going to win the series, and I'm going to take five games that they win the series in, and I believe you had them at 6 games. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is only the first round. Is usually just best of 5, so it better be 5 games.
Right. Yeah.
And trust me, the Yankees and the Twins, mainly the Yankees, because the Yankees are going to advance. They're hoping the Astros get extended to 5 games as well, so they don't have to see Verlander. Probably they'll see Cole Game 1, but they'll miss Verlander.
Yeah, I mean, speaking like what you said earlier, that baseball is a very, very strange game, because there is no confidence factor or a momentum factor or anything just like that. I mean, the baseball aspect literally changes game to game, inning to inning.
Right.
So, you never know what is going to happen. This is what makes playoff baseball so exciting to watch, is because you really all you need is one good inning. You score four to 5 runs, and you can suck the rest of the game. But as long as you score those four, that one high point, I mean, that could be the aspect of the game there. So
also, what's crazy, Michael, is this game's not over yet either. I mean, it's crazy to the Astros. We still got 3 more innings to go here, and the Astros have one of the best offenses in baseball, and so they could come back and tie this thing up, and who knows what'll happen. But and they could also make the Tampa Bay Rays use a lot of their bullpen as well. So we'll see what happens. But I think the Rays will end up probably taking care of this game, and we'll see what happens Game 4 if they come back with Verlander or Miley or another pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, this is the good thing about the Houston Astros, is that they have 4 solid pitchers that they can use and be comfortable winning a must-win game or a closeout game or anything to that effect. So I have all the faith in the Astros to win it in 4 games.
Right.
So let's go ahead and switch gears here real quick. We took a week off. I was in Atlanta all week again and had some back issues. So we recharged the batteries, but we missed a very important picking of games. So we definitely have to go through these games from week 5 NFL games and just talk about them. One of the surprises, I think, is the Thursday night game. We had the Seahawks beating the Rams 30 to 29. What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, once again, the roughing the passer penalty is costing teams victories. They're starting to review, Michael, the pass interference calls. They need to review these roughing the passer penalties. Clay Matthews got called on a roughing the passer penalty knocking down Russell Wilson that extended the game and gave the Seattle Seahawks, basically the game-winning drive. Yesterday it happened again with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Ravens. Lamar Jackson was roughed by, I don't know whether it was Watt or Hayward, somebody, but Dupree, I forgot who the Pittsburgh Steeler was, and it was not roughing the passer, and basically gave the Baltimore Ravens a first down, and Justin Tucker kicking the game-winning field goal. That is absolutely asinine. That's insane. So Russell Wilson got the free roughing the passer in the Thursday night game you're talking about last Thursday, and Seattle goes on to win. Now, Greg Zuerlein ended up missing the game-winning field goal, so the Rams still had a chance to come back. But if they don't get that roughing the passer penalty, they don't even need Greg Zuerlein or anything like that. This game doesn't even come down to the wire. I mean, so yeah, give Russell Wilson a lot of credit. He played an absolute fabulous game. The St. Louis Rams defense has been on vacation for a few weeks now. I think they gave up like 50 or something ridiculous to Jameis Winston. Try that out. Think about that for a second. And then they gave up 30 to Russell Wilson. So their defense has went south. They need to fix those problems. But give Seattle credit. They're doing better than I thought they would do at this point. And they're winning football games. But I don't expect that to continue. I think Seattle's going to go through a rough patch. And I think I predicted the Rams to only go 10-6 off their 13-3, and they're headed for that 10-6.
Yeah, this game started my weekend off on the wrong foot because I never picked the road team on these Thursday night games. But for some reason, I had faith in the Rams. I thought the 55 points that they gave up to Tampa Bay was just a fluke. Maybe they just had a bad game. But then you go into this game. Yes, they didn't give up 50 plus points, but they still give up to a 30 points to a team that's to a offense. I mean, Russell Wilson is a great quarterback. I'm not taking that away from him whatsoever. But they are still a mediocre team. They are a mediocre offense. And then just so I got that pick wrong, and like I knew it was just the beginning of the end to my weekend. And once we break down these games more, you guys will like understand why. But the next game that we had up on the docket here was Arizona Cardinals 1-3-1 taking on the 0-4 Cincinnati Bengals.
Good.
Kyler Murray went for 20 for 32 with 253 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions to lead the Cardinals to a 26-23 win. What are your thoughts on this one?
Listen, it's the same thing as last week. Kyler Murray is doing a better job than what a lot of people thought. He finally got his first victory here. I think there's going to be more to come. They're not going to sniff the playoffs, but I think Kyler Murray gets 5 or 6 wins, and this was one of them. And he's doing pretty well, I have to admit. And Cincinnati's going to be pretty much a dumpster fire. They're what we thought they were going to be. But they'll play teams tough throughout the year. But they'll still end up 3-13, 4-12. They're 0-4. They better hope they get to 4-12. But it looks like this could be Andy Dalton's last year playing with the Cincinnati Bengals, because Cincinnati's going to have a chance to take Tua Tagovailoa or Justin Herbert. So that's going to be Cincinnati up there picking high up here in the draft. So it looks like Andy Dalton, probably better for Andy Dalton, because he's not a bad quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He can be above average some games. But Andy Dalton's one of those guys, the Bengals quarterback that could probably go to a contender, or somebody thinks they might be able to contend, and he just has to go over there and not screw it up. So probably better for him to get out of Cincinnati and let Cincinnati get the number 1 or number 2 overall pick. But Kyler Murray, going back to Kyler Murray's doing very well. And so he got his first victory, and I expect some more.
Yeah, just to add to your points there, if this is, let's say the Cincinnati Bengals do go the 3-13 or the 4-12 route, there have already been rumors circulating now gaining even more traction that they are looking to trade AJ Green. This would be a perfect opportunity to push that reset button on that organization. AJ Green is still fairly young. he is injury prone. I don't think he's played a full season in 3 years. So you can maybe get a first round pick or a pair of second round picks for him. But like either way, you have to have like you have to get rid of AJ Green at this point. And if you want to draft a quarterback first overall, keep Andy Dalton on the roster to let that rookie quarterback grow in your first from that first round pick.
Yeah, well, wait. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It makes sense. But I want to go back to another point you just made about AJ Green. But Andy Dalton, think about this. If you're Andy Dalton, you're not going to sit there and mentor a quarterback. You're good enough to start for other NFL teams. Look around the league. So there's no way that Andy Dalton would stay. There's no way I would stay. There's no way you would stay. I'm not mentoring Justin Herbert, dude. I'm not 40 years old. I'm like 30 years old or whatever.
Hang on 1 second here. The Kansas City Chiefs and then Alex Smith, they did the same thing for Patrick Mahomes. So if you want to be kind of appreciated in your city, you will stay in Cincinnati.
I don't care about being appreciated. I'm not sitting there waiting for Justin Herbert warming the seat up for him. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do that. Alex Smith can do that. That's fine. But then Alex Smith went on and they sent him to Washington where he was like 6-3 and until he got hurt. There's no way Alex Smith, just showed Patrick Mahomes but that's a completely different situation. That's Kansas City winning football games. This is a losing situation. I would never stick around. I would tell them, hey, you got to get another veteran in here, or you let Justin Herbert start off the week 1, dude. I'm not sticking around. There's no way. And another thing, to your point too, AJ Green if I was the Detroit Lions, we talked about this with Antonio Brown. If I'm the Detroit Lions, I send my number 1 pick right now for AJ Green and have him and Matthew Stafford would be a great combination.
Yeah, I went and saw the Detroit Lions live. They are a pretty damn good team. They run the ball really, really well. They are a receiver away from making the playoffs, like I do think. But let's go on. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game here. We have Buffalo versus Tennessee. Josh Allen goes for 23 for 32 with 2 touchdowns and an interception, leading the Bills past the Titans 14-7, pushing to the full 4-1 on the season. What are your thoughts on that game?
Well, I knew that Buffalo was for real. This was one of the hardest hitting games yesterday. They were knocking the hell out of each other. Listen, Buffalo confirmed for me, and I really didn't need too much confirmation that they're for real. Josh Allen can go hot and cold, but that defense remains the same. And that defense stuffed Tennessee a few times. Now, Tennessee did squander some opportunities, missed field goals and whatnot, but man, the Buffalo Bills are for real. I mean, I had them going 9-7, and I had them barely missing the playoffs. So they're on their way. This is a pretty good team. And so, yeah, and I wasn't surprised at all that I think it's pretty funny though that Buffalo. How many road wins does Buffalo have in the past few years? Not many, and this was a big time road win by Buffalo here going into Tennessee and winning this game. That's big time.
Yeah, this game kind of perked my interest a little bit because I had the Titans winning this game. Like, I thought they were going to revert to that week 1 shellacking that they did to the Browns. Correct. And quite frankly, the Titans offense is non-existent. Yeah. I'm not for sure what they need to do. Do they need to shake up a quarterback? Do they need to run more? I really don't know. But this Buffalo Bills team, I thought maybe after that loss to the Patriots last week, I thought they would crash back down to reality to a little bit here and kind of go 500 for the rest of the year. But after watching this game and looking at their schedule, I would not be surprised if they do get 10 wins this season. And I am not afraid to admit I was wrong. I had them going, I think 6-10. Right. I would not be surprised if they go 10-6 this year whatsoever.
No, I mean, Yeah, they're Buffalo's pretty good. Defense will always keep them in games. Think about this for a second. They held Tom Brady to 9 points. Okay, now New England ended up scoring 16 points, right?
Right.
But that was a punt block by one of the greatest special teams player of all time, Slater, for number 18, Slater for New England. So New England got 7 points off a punt block. So really, Brady scored 9 points on that Buffalo defense. Just think about that for a second.
It's a really good defense that they have.
Yes.
Cooking like over there. So speaking of defenses, the Chicago Bears had a pretty good defense this last year, and the offense was kind of just there. And now the offense is no longer there with Mitchell Trubisky being out as well. So the Bears did take on the Raiders. The Oakland Raiders did beat the Bears 24-21. Josh Jacobs had 26 carries, 123 yards with 2 touchdowns. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, a lot of people are down on the Raiders. Like they're going to be the laughing stock, and I'm not one of those. Mike Mayock put together a good team, and John Gruden's a good coach. So this didn't surprise me at all. Jacobs was a very good pick at the 24th overall selection in the draft. So I thought the Raiders could win this game. It was in London, so it's basically a neutral field. And Chicago's offense is kind of like non-existent. Even with Trubisky, they don't have the explosive plays unless they get them from number 29 Tariq Cohen. There's really no explosive plays there in the Chicago offense. Defense has to keep them in this game. Defense kind of played well after the first quarter, but that first quarter got them in the first and some of the second quarter when I think Oakland went up 17-0 real quickly. It's almost like they didn't recover from that. But it's kind of surprising a little bit, because the Bears have this great defense and Oakland was able to move the ball up and down the field a few times. But listen, Oakland's going to be a thorn in people's side. People were thinking that when you had Oakland on the schedule, it was going to be layups. No, this isn't the layups. They're not the layup team this year. Oakland it wouldn't shock me at all if they are in the wild card mix here in about 6 weeks.
Right, and just speaking to everything that you said, this little thorn on the side, guys. Secretly, they are second place in the AFC West. They are 3-2,
right?
And with the Chiefs kind of struggling right now these past 2 weeks,
right?
Like the Chiefs lose next week versus Houston,
right?
And then Oakland wins.
Right.
They're in a first place tie. So let me add to your team point here. I think the Oakland Raiders, they are a better team without Antonio Brown on this team because they are forced to use Josh Jacobs like they did this
right.
past week. When they are able to run the ball like that, and they don't have to worry about getting Antonio Brown 17 touches, 18 touches, and like again, they are a much better offensively powerhouse team. So, as weird as that sounds, they are a better team without Antonio Brown on the field. 100%.
Hey, sometimes it's addition by subtraction. I mean, I wouldn't totally go with your thinking there a couple of weeks ago, but man, you're starting to pull me around to that side. And I believe in addition by subtraction. I believe that somebody can be such a cancer, I don't care how talented he is, that if you get rid of him, things are better. And this could be, Michael, you hit it on the head. This could be one of those cases.
Yeah, and just speaking of addition by subtraction, with Drew Brees being out these last couple weeks, we really thought the Saints were going to struggle, but they are now on a little bit of a tear with Teddy Bridgewater. He went 26 for 34 for 314 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception yesterday over the win versus the Bucs 31-24, pushing the Saints 4-1 on the season now. What are your thoughts on that game?
Hey, look, I've always been a believer in Teddy Bridgewater. I'm going to be honest with you. I've always been a believer in Teddy Bridgewater since he came out of college. If I was the Texans, I would have taken him with one of my first-round picks there, and Teddy Bridgewater will be my quarterback. Listen, he's not the great athlete that some of the other players are. He's more in that Warren Moon category.
Right.
But it doesn't matter. The guy's a good player. There's a reason the Saints made him the highest paid backup in football, $7.5 million. And by the way, I think Chase Daniel, which we were talking Chicago earlier, is like another highest paid backup. But Teddy Bridgewater's really good, man. I don't, he's not as good as Breeze, obviously, but he's riding that ship. And he looked bad against, or he didn't look great against the Cowboys defense, but he came alive against Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay's not that bad. And so I'm a believer in Teddy Bridgewater, man. So he's holding the ship down for them. Listen, if Teddy Bridgewater was the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, I still expect to be 5-0, just like if they had with Dak Prescott. That's how good I think Teddy Bridgewater can be. So, the Saints are surviving without Drew Brees, and that's a big deal. Big time win for them yesterday, beating Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay, like I said, Tampa Bay comes to play now. They're no slouch. So that was a big time win for the Saints yesterday.
Yeah, I think the Bucs game plan going into this game was we're going to make Teddy Bridgewater make plays and beat us, and that's exactly what they do, and that is exactly what they did.
Right.
Like the Saints only had a 100 yards team on the ground. Alvin Kamara only had 60 yards,
right?
With only 16 touches, on the ground. But the biggest stat that definitely sticks out to me in this game is the 6 sacks that the Saints defense got. So this tells me like they were bringing the house, or the Tampa Bay Bucs line is just horrible. And I think it's a little bit of both, but the Saints defense is pretty darn good. I mean, getting 6 sacks, that's a lot. That Saints D line, led by Malcolm Brown and Sheldon Rankins and Cameron Hayward, that they stuffed Dallas the week before. So this is they're really good. They're no joke. Saints are probably the best team in the NFC. You had to rank it right now, absolutely. Yeah. So speaking of possibly the best teams in the NFC, the Minnesota Vikings was one of those teams last year. This year, not so much, but they did pull out a win versus the Giants, 28-10. What are your thoughts on that game?
Look, it was kind of like a game for Kirk Cousins, like a redemption game, kind of. But look, it was against the Giants, so let's pump the brakes here. It was good to see Kirk Cousins track. He'd been taken from Adam Thielen and especially Stephon Diggs and a lot of the media and people in Minnesota saying, "Hey, or what are you doing? Are you the guy, or what's going on with you?" And people didn't even want to show up to practice and want to be traded because Kirk Cousins missing receivers. QB also. I don't think he's great, but he's adequate, and he just try not to screw it up. Kirk. You have a good offense there, and that showed yesterday. His completion percentage was way up there. He was hitting receivers, and like I said, that was against. Let's wait till next week, and they're playing a pretty darn good opponent next week. I'm forgetting right now who it is, but listen, we'll know a lot about Kirk Cousins next week. This week was kind of like not the week to judge Kirk Cousins after that, but it was a good bounce back week for him. But let's wait till next week and we'll see what he's got.
Yeah, the next week the Vikings do play the Eagles, and I believe it is at the Eagles. So that'll definitely be a pretty good game to watch.
You're right. You're 100%. It's Philadelphia at Minnesota. So, but that being said, right there, we're gonna find out. And we're rooting. So we're rooting for Kirk Cousins next week. Let's see him.
Right.
Eagles. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm taking away from this game is you know what? Maybe the Giants aren't as bad as we thought they were going to be. Right. Daniel Jones is, he is kind of holding down the ship, showing some promise with a backup tailback in. So, do we have faith in the Giants to go 5-6 wins? No, I do not still. But they are a better team than I thought they were. You bring Saquon Barkley back to give Daniel Jones a little bit of relief in that, because their team had 64 yards on the ground yesterday. the offense didn't look that great, but the defense, held a pretty high-flying Vikings offense to 28 points. Not too bad. But next week, the Giants don't even have a chance against the Patriots. So, moving on here. Next up, we have the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Jets. The Eagles moved to 3-2 on the season, beating the Jets 31-6. Carson Wentz did go 17 for 29 for 189 yards, one touchdown. What is your takeaway from this game?
Nothing's a takeaway. I mean, it was a layup. Without Sam Darnold, Luke Falk looks like listen, I like Luke Falk coming out of college, but he hasn't impressed me at all so far in his NFL career. He looked like they chose the best 6'8" quarterback to come out from high school to come out and see if he wants to throw the ball around. That's how bad Luke Falk has been so far in his NFL career. I don't take anything away from this game. This was a layup for the Philadelphia Eagles. It should be a layup for the Cowboys next week. The Cowboys play the Jets. Should be a layup for the Cowboys next week. And you know what? Carson Wentz only went 17 of 29, under 200 yards and one touchdown. So he didn't even look that great against the Jets. The Jets have a decent defense, but I wouldn't. The Carson Wentz fans are starting to come out of the woodwork, and I would tell them to hold him up too, because he didn't do really anything against the Jets either. The Jets are that bad. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens to the Eagles when they play against a really good defense next week against Minnesota.
Yeah. Let me just put some perspective in for this game here, okay? Mm-hmm. So, total in this game, total offensive yards, it was a little over 400 yards for both teams. Yesterday, the Cowboys had over 400 yards all by themselves. So, this game was ugly to watch. The Jets had 120 yards total offense. 61 passing, 67 on the ground.
Right.
It is tough to win like that. Don't you remember back in, June or July, when Le'Veon Bell was saying that the Jets were going to the Super Bowl and he wanted 40 plus touches per game?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell had 43 total yards on 15. The Jets are just horrible.
Yeah,
they don't have a chance.
It's pretty bad though when you don't have your ace though, like in Sam Darnold. I'm not saying that they'd be, lighting the world on fire or anything, but they would be a lot better with Sam Darnold. And so, yeah, I mean that's how bad it is. When you have no quarterback, I mean Zeke would have got stuffed yesterday too if he was playing for the Jets. I mean, it's just
true.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of getting stuffed, Lamar Jackson went for 19 for 28, 161 yards yesterday, one touchdown, 3 interceptions with the QBR ranking of 20. But they did pull out the win over the Steelers, 26-23, going to 3-2 on the season. What are your thoughts on this game?
Lamar Jackson had to the form of the preseason when he couldn't make remedial throws that we were talking about. And they won yesterday. They were all, and that's why Lamar Jackson was able to get the victory. Plus, got a vote, which put them in field. Pittsburgh Steelers got hosed on that call. The Pittsburgh Steelers should have won this game 23-20, and the next day should have been how Lamar Jackson is trash. but since the refs want to help out the Baltimore Ravens there, give them that bogus roughing the passer penalty, they get the victory. Justin Tucker goes in overtime, and Justin Tucker kicks the game-winning field goal. And by the way, I still thought that Justin Tucker's game-winning field goal, I still think he missed it. I don't think it went over. So, man, the Steelers are struggling this year, but they should have won yesterday. Lamar Jackson has been absolutely horrible. He's been what you thought. The first 2 games, he was great. The third game, he was like, yeah, so-so. The last 2 games, he was as bad as he was great in the first 2. So you're talking about an up-and-down quarterback. I've always thought he was an average quarterback, but we'll see what happens where he goes from here. But you just dare him to throw the football, and it doesn't work.
Right.
And that's what happened in last year's playoffs. The Chargers made Lamar Jackson try to make the guy Dan Marino, and you can beat the Ravens. So I don't know why everybody's not doing that every week. But the Pittsburgh Steelers got hosed on this game, but hey, that's what happens in the NFL. They need to have a review of those roughing the passer penalties.
Yeah, like you pretty much took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, like all these Lamar Jackson fans, those first two games, they were riding him like, oh, he's the greatest MVP, yada yada yada.
Right.
Now he's come back down to reality.
Right.
Probably playing a little bit below his potential, but let's just take those first two games, those freaking awesome games, and these last two games. What do you got? An average quarterback, just kind of like what we've been saying. Right. So all those Lamar Jackson fans, I'm not going to say that he is a good quarterback yet, because he is not. He's still below average. Right. So moving on to not a below average quarterback, Tom Brady and the Patriots beat the 0-5 Washington Redskins 33-7. This game was pretty much over before it began. Tom Brady does go 28 for 42 for 348 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. What are your thoughts on this game?
Man, I hardly have any thoughts on this game. I watched a little bit of the beginning, and it was one of those games where it's like Alabama is New England, and they were playing against, Southwestern Louisiana, and Southwestern Louisiana was hanging in for a first quarter, and everybody's like, oh, what's going on with Alabama there? What's going on with New England? And after a while, it just became an onslaught. And, the NFL, I've said this time and time again, should not be that way. I mean, they pick from the same talent pool. There is no way that your team should be 0-4 and look like that. That's why the coach got fired. Okay?
Right.
There's no way your team should look like that, man. Like, it's beyond pathetic. And so, New England, it was kind of a layup for New England. Their hearts weren't in it at the beginning, and then they kind of woke up, and there you go. And it was just, Alabama finally beat Southwestern Louisiana 55-7. But in this case, it's the NFL, so it was like, 33-7 or 39, so whatever it was. Yeah.
Right. So, with that being said, I think the reason why Jay Gruden did get fired was because the ownership and the other people wanted Dwayne Haskins to really start this game and to be their guy. So with their intern head coach, the name is slipping my mind right now. The Washington Redskins do play the 0-4 Miami Dolphins next week. So so it wouldn't be surprised, guys, if you see Dwayne Haskins start next week. So if you are a fantasy guy, you might want to pick him up and get him in your lineup just to see how he does.
Right. So
moving on, the next game here we had the Carolina Panthers 34 to Jacksonville Jaguars 27. The Carolina Panthers have been kind of on a run since they got Allen in at the quarterback helm. He did go 17 for 30 for 181 with one score. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, this game was all about Christian McCaffrey. Heck of a performance there. And listen, that guy is just unbelievable. You have him running back, and I don't care who the quarterback is, you're always going to have a chance to win the game because you can dump it out. You can get him the ball in many ways, in space and all kinds of different ways that you can get him the ball. Besides hand him the ball straight up, he's one of those. He's not a third down back, what a lot of people thought. He's proving people wrong. He's an every down back. He just can't get used like that, like he did yesterday to win the game. They can't do that 16 weeks. They've got to find other ways to win games. But that was a pretty big win by Carolina. Listen, Jacksonville was pretty good. Gardner Minshew, the Minshew mania there, he played okay too. But give Carolina defense credit for stopping Jacksonville when they needed to. And then, oh my God, another boneheaded Ron Rivera. These damn coaches, man, they're at a 4th and 1, right? And they could easily. It's 28-24 as a score. You're winning, dude. This is a chip shot field goal. They're like at the 15-yard line, 20 yards. So it's like a 30-something yard field goal for an NFL kicker. That is chip shot. Okay, they go for it. They go for it. They get stuffed. McCaffrey gets stuffed, and you give Jacksonville a chance to win the game. If you just kick the field goal, you go up a full score. You go up, and where Jacksonville just has to have a touchdown to tie. Dude, kick your field goal and make it 34, or make it 31 at that point. Man, these coaches love to go for it when you can just easily take your points and be up a full touchdown. Man, that is insane to me. But anyways, give Carolina credit, man. They stopped Gardner Minshew, and that game was all about Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, but just you know what? People hopped on that Lamar Jackson train really early. I want to hop on that Kyle Allen train. He is undefeated in the NFL. He has 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I think he has like a QBR in the 60s. Kyle Allen is the future. Ride that train right now.
Yeah.
But guys, speaking of riding trains, Deshaun Watson yesterday afternoon went off 426 yards, five touchdowns, leading the Houston Texans over the Falcons 53-32, giving them 3-2 on the season. What are your thoughts from this one?
Deshaun Watson's amazing. He can do that when he has time, and when he gets the correct play calls in. There have been 10 games of quarterbacks throwing 4 touchdowns and like 300 yards and no interceptions. There have been 10 of those in the past 2 years. Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes are responsible for 5 of them. Deshaun has 3 and Patrick has 4. I mean, Deshaun has 3, Patrick has 2. So it just goes to show you how those 2 really are the 2 best QBs in football, to be honest. If I was starting a team, I'd go Mahomes, Watson 2. I'll take Deshaun right now over Mahomes, because Mahomes has a badly sprained ankle. That's going to be very interesting for next week to see how that works out. But this game was all about Deshaun Watson. He's absolutely amazing, throwing darts all over the place. This is the Bears fans have to be feeling it, man. I'm going to be honest with you. I'll just go here now. Traded up, gave up number 1s to take Mitchell Trubisky in the same draft as Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. And I think so. The Bears could have Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback, which is pretty amazing. I mean, I like Trubisky, but man, he's nowhere near the quarterback those 2 are. But this was the Deshaun Watson game. We'll see what happens next week. Next week is the game of the week. It's at noon. Next week we're going to find out a lot about these 2 teams. Although Kansas City's reeling a little bit, I guess we'll talk about them in a second. But I fully expect Houston to win Sunday now.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick Houston as well to win this game. But we'll definitely pick that more come Thursday later in the week. But moving on to the Denver Broncos to take on the Chargers. First things first, where have the Chargers gone? But the Broncos did win 20-13, catapult them to off the goose egg, giving them 1 win on the season. They're 1-4. What are your thoughts from this game?
Broncos took control early, got off to a 7-0 start. They got after the passer, which is something they hadn't been doing. Made Phillip Rivers uncomfortable. Phillip threw a couple interceptions. And listen, you called it a couple of weeks ago. This kid Lindsey, I'm forgetting his first name, but Lindsey,
Phillip Lindsey
for the Broncos. Man, this kid's the real deal, and he couldn't be stopped yesterday. And Broncos won a methodical victory over the Chargers. Yeah, the Chargers better get on track pretty soon, man. Or they were my pick to I think be the 6th seed, or at least, and that's not going to happen if they don't get on track here pretty soon.
Yeah, just going off of what you said there, I think pretty much everybody thought that once their tailback came back for the Chargers, they would be clicking on all cylinders again, but they just seem to be misfiring just a little bit here. Something seems to be off. I don't know if it's just a passing game or they need more of a running game or what. But looking at their schedule forward, I mean, it is not the easiest schedule. I mean, the Steelers the Steelers are still the Steelers. They're pretty good. And then they got the Titans on the road, and then the Bears, and then the Packers. I mean, we could see the Los Angeles Chargers be possibly be 2-7 going into that Kansas City Chiefs game. So, I mean, it's a very good possibility. But,
man, that's a pretty good game next Sunday night. I mean, in terms of talk about desperate teams. I mean, Pittsburgh cannot be 1-5, and the Chargers can't afford another loss. So that is a big time game. Look, I think you probably agree with me. We'll just make the prediction now. The winner of the Chargers Steelers has a shot at the playoffs, a decent shot, like in other words, an okay shot, but the loser is done.
Yes. I could not agree more with that.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next game here, Sunday night, or I guess it was a Sunday afternoon game. Packers beat the Dallas Cowboys 34-24, but it was a 31-0 game at some point. The Cowboys came on late, missed field goal, couple penalties. What are your thoughts from this game?
Pathetic. I mean, you would think like after, you play that New Orleans game and you should be highly upset. You're back home against a good NFC opponent and you go ahead and you lay an egg like that. Dak Prescott and man, listen, I'm a believer in Dak Prescott. Let me say that, but you can't have too many more games like this, man, or people are going to just write you off. I mean, this is pretty bad. I mean, yeah, 3-2 looks good. They had the first 3 victories, against subpar teams, and now they played 2 good teams back to back, and they can't get victories. That looks bad on the quarterback. That looks bad on the coach and the offensive coordinator. And yesterday, that looks bad on Rod Marinelli and Chris Richard, the defensive coordinators. I'm shocked. I was shocked yesterday. I'm watching this thing, and it's like 17-0 and 24. I'm like 28-3 or something was ridiculous. I kind of tuned it out. I was in shock, man. And that's on Kellen Moore. This was a bad game all the way around. I don't care about the late comeback. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Maher, the kicker, but he better get his act together. I'll find another kicker. That's ridiculous. He missed.
You can't blame it all on the kicker. That that guard should have false started.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was Xavier Suafilo. He's a former second-round pick. UCLA. I know him very well. He's a decent football player, but man, you cannot false start, dude. Yeah, this is too critical, man. It's not like you were at Arrowhead Stadium, man, or some place where you couldn't.
You're at home.
I mean, you're at home and silent, man.
Yeah. So, like, just to add to your point here, if you look at the box score stats here, Dak Prescott, 27 for 44, 463 yards, 2 touchdowns. Doesn't seem that bad, right?
Yeah.
Here's the real kicker: 3 interceptions.
Yeah.
And 2 of them, I believe, were in the end zone. We cannot have that. Like, they were such big, crucial turnovers yesterday that definitely derailed this Dallas Cowboys team.
Yeah, and one of them, Amari Cooper, took blame. Amari Cooper should have caught the balls a little bit behind him, and then that kind of led to the Green Bay Packers momentum. I'll agree with Amari Cooper. I'm glad he's a stand-up guy, and he took. And then Green Bay went ahead and I think made it 17-0. So, so Amari Cooper took blame on that one. But yeah, it's just right now it's bad in Dallas. It's bad in Dallas. This is one of the worst fears I had looking at the schedule before the season, because you looked at it and you go, okay, they're going to be 3-0, but then they got New Orleans and Green Bay back to back. They better at least be 4-1 after that, or people will say they're fool's gold. They're not really as good as their record indicates, and that's what people are saying. So got to lay up this. They got to lay up next week, but they got to make it a layup. Okay, they come to play against the Jets. This thing 34-10, 34-9, but they have to make it a layup, and they should smash the Jets. And then it sets up the big showdown the following week when Philadelphia comes to town. I'm going to tell you right now, if the Cowboys are not 5-2, we're in trouble. And I mean that winning the division, we're in trouble. We might make a wild. Better be 5-2 in 2 weeks.
Yeah, because they are currently tied with Philadelphia for first place in the NFC East. And so let's go on and move on to the last game, Sunday night game here. Kansas City Chiefs take on the Indianapolis Colts. Patrick Mahomes goes for 22 for 39 for 321 yards with one touchdown, but the Colts come up on top, 19-13, getting a win at Arrowhead on a primetime game. What are your thoughts on this?
That was amazing because and I didn't even realize this record, but the Indianapolis Colts snapped the Kansas City Chiefs record of 25 straight games with at least 25 points. That's incredible, dude. That's amazing to me. As most games should be. The Indianapolis defensive line did a heck of a job on that Kansas City offensive line. Kansas City offensive line was getting hurt, and the Indianapolis offensive line did a number on the Kansas City defensive line. So this game was won in the trenches, and it shows because Patrick Mahomes had the better quarterback rating. He had the better team than Jacoby Brissett. And you think, well, why did Indianapolis win? Because Indianapolis won both lines. And that's what happened. And then you had Chris Jones, one of the best defensive tackles in football, leave the game with a groin injury for Kansas City. Chris Jones, I put him in that second tier. He's not Aaron Donald, but he's in that second tier of really, really good defensive lineman that can wreck a game sometimes. And he went out with a groin injury. Patrick Mahomes is limping. I think Cameron Irving hit his step back and hit him in high ankle sprain in the end zone. Kansas City's reeling right now. They better get Tyreek Hill back next week, and I think he will be back next week. But the Colts won this game at the line of scrimmage. That's how you stop Kansas City Chiefs from getting at least 25 points. You beat them up in the line of scrimmage, and not too many teams have done that. Or you outscore them, and they didn't have to do that because of some of the injuries to Kansas City, like Mahomes and no Tyreek Hill. And that was a big time victory for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I'm going to add some stats to everything that you just said there. How do we know that the Indianapolis Colts controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball? Marlon Mack had 29 carries for 132 yards, and Damian Williams for the Kansas City Chiefs only had 9 carries for 23 yards. So that shows you that the Colts were dominating up front on both sides of the ball. What do I take away from this game? AFC South is still probably the toughest division in football. After Andrew Luck retired, we all kind of checked off the Colts. Like, they're not going to be as good as they thought they were. They are 3-2, tied with the Houston Texans for first place in that AFC South. This is a huge win for the Indianapolis Colts because now if the Kansas City Chiefs go and beat Houston, the Colts have a leg up on the Houston Texans now for that number 1 seed in the AFC South and that top 4 playoff seed, guaranteeing them a home game in the playoffs. This is a huge win for the Colts. What I'm questioning about the Kansas City Chiefs is when are they going to get out of the funk? It is not a matter of if they get out of the funk. It is when they get out. When do they get out of this funk? They have to get out of this funk next week versus the Houston Texans because we just saw it. They put up 54 points against the who was it that they played against the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons really isn't no slouch like of a team. Kansas City Chiefs better wake up this week, and with Tyreek Hill coming back this week, hopefully the offense finds its mojo.
Yeah, no, this is a huge game. I mean, man, I was thinking Kansas City Chiefs might be not a layup, but they were going to beat Houston. Man, I have a feeling Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes are going to sling the ball around. This is going to be fun to watch. This game could go either way. I'm a little worried, about Patrick Mahomes' high ankle sprain. Did you notice, he's not the same at all when he just stands in the pocket? He doesn't have, he doesn't have the mobility that he normally has. This is a little bit dangerous for Kansas City Chiefs fans right here with this Patrick Mahomes injury. And also not as big, but like I said, Chris Jones, probably maybe your second best defensive player after Frank Clark. Right. Some may think he's the best because he's that big 3 technique in the middle there. He stuffs the run and everything else. he's got a groin injury. So this is not looking good for the Kansas City Chiefs right now. The good news though for the Chiefs though, you are 4-1. So it's not like you're sitting there, 2-3 and reeling. 4-1, you have a little bit of a leeway. You can go 4-2 and come back. Come back. I mean, there's teams that are reeling and are 1-4 and 2-3, and you know what I mean. So yeah, you're a decent spot here, but this is a big one though for playoff purposes, because if you don't see the Texans twice. So if it came down to both teams 12-4, and then they're going to look at that tiebreakers head to head, you lose it. So this is a big game for the Chiefs and the Texans. To me, it's the biggest game of the week, and it's at noon. I wish it was prime time.
Yeah, so speaking of primetime games, we do have one more NFL game for the Week 5 here. We have the undefeated San Francisco 49ers at 3-0 taking on the 2-2 Cleveland Browns. Who do you got tonight winning this game?
And where's the game played at?
It is at San Francisco.
Listen, I hate the 49ers. I've always hated being a Cowboy fan growing up. I've always hated the 49ers. But I picked them this year to go 10-6 and to win the division over the Rams and Seahawks. So I think they're going to get this victory tonight. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is looking good. You've probably heard me say this like a broken record, but I hate it too, like I said, because I hate the 49ers. But John Lynch, the GM, former Denver Bronco All-Pro, has done a great job. Putting that together, that team. A great job. And Jimmy Garoppolo is pretty damn good. And a lot of people aren't a believer of him. People talk about they shouldn't have paid him all that money. But I know what my eyes see. I know what I see on film. And the guy is really good. Jimmy Garoppolo is really good. There's a reason why Bill Belichick wanted to keep Jimmy G, and I think he got overruled by the owner. So I picked the 49ers to win tonight. It'll be a close game. I don't think Baker Mayfield and the boys are going to go out like that. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair, and maybe whoever has the ball last. But I think San Francisco will win this game at home. I think they're two evenly matched teams, to be honest. And if this was at the dog pound, I probably would pick Cleveland.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth on this game quite a bit. As much as I don't want the 49ers to be any good, and I don't want the Browns to be any good either, because I kind of just want to rub it all in their fans' faces that hey, you guys are still average. But right. I think the 49ers are going to pull it out tonight. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring affair. I think it's going to be a knockout, drag out, tie game. Very, very sloppy. Just basically who turns the ball over less, like at this point, because the Browns secondary is, I think they're on their second or third or their third string, I think, but right. they all have a game under their belt, and I'm just not sold on Jimmy G yet. I think he is going to try to pick on the secondary a little too much, so therefore forcing the ball down the field when the checkdowns are there and open. So I'm going to take a 14-10 score, but 49ers win.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Man, I've seen enough of Jimmy G, though. I would have given him that big contract, Michael. Like, my eyes tell me he's not Lamar Jackson, dude. He's not Trubisky. Like, he makes every single throw at every different angle. Right. This kid's no joke, man. I told you before, he has Tony Romo, Brett Favre type feet. He can set his feet and throw from different angles, man. This guy, I think he's the real deal. So I mean, he's not. I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback, but Jimmy G will be proven, for the next 10 years being a top 10 NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I will definitely be watching the Jimmy G like all game. This will be the first game that I really watch him from start to finish. So after this game, I don't care how he plays, or if he has a great game or an average game, I will get a better feel of how I feel about him moving forward.
Right.
So before we head out, Marcus, are there any closing thoughts?
No, just a little disappointed in the Cowboys. Man, they're almost like the laughing stock of the NFL right now. Played 3 teams that are below average, 3-0. Played 2 good teams, 0-2. They better get their act together pretty soon. And like I said, if they're not 5-2 in 2 weeks, they're not going to win this division. That's a bold statement, but they're not going to win this division if they're not 5-2 in the next 2 weeks. And proud of the Houston Texans for bouncing back. And I cannot wait for this game, noon, Kansas City, Houston. Man, this is the real deal. This game right here, I think it's the 2 best. Listen, you know what? I'll go on record here. I don't think it's the 2 best quarterbacks in football. I think it's the 2 best NFL players in football. Really, if you had an NFL draft and they said you're starting a team, not fantasy, because you might take Saquon Barkley or something. I'm talking about you're going to start an NFL team from scratch. I think Mahomes would be 1. I think Deshaun Watson would be 2.
Yep, that is. And Len, after the last couple of weeks, I think I would take Watson over Patrick Mahomes, and this is coming from a Kansas City Chiefs fan and a Big 12 fan. So, guys, with all that being said, join us tomorrow, same time, with a couple friends, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Have a good day.